Reiki versus Chi Kung. What's the difference? Hi, my name's Alex McLeod, and in this video, I'm going to explain the difference between Reiki and Chi Kung. If you know the difference between Reiki and Chi Kung, please leave the answer in the comment section down below. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions and respond to any comments. If you could, please leave a like, subscribe, or ring that bell icon for notifications. Let's begin. When you're looking at the meaning of the terms Reiki and Chi Kung, it looks like they mean the same thing. But instead of definitions, you should probably look at the history. Because the definition of Reiki is it's a Japanese term, Rei meaning universal life, and then Ki is energy, whereas Chi Kung means, and it's in Chinese this time, energy art, which essentially sounds like the same thing. Let's be honest. Those definitions are basically the same. However, they have very different histories and very different meanings because of the histories of these terms. Now, when we refer to Reiki, we're usually referring to an art that was passed down by Usui Sensei of Japan. And according to the stories, we don't know, this is long enough ago that you can't really ask anybody who was directly involved. So, according to the stories, Usui Sensei went into the mountains seeking to discover the reason and ability to heal by laying of hands. Supposedly. Now, who knows why he was there? Who knows why he was, or what he was actually doing? But this is the story that was passed down. And as a result, Reiki has a focus on healing of the physical body. Now, when we refer to Qigong, we could be talking about all sorts of different things. It's far more complicated than Reiki because Reiki generally refers to one thing. And Qigong is an umbrella term that refers to all the different energy arts in China, or that came from China. And it has a long and varied history, thousands of years. And it could be referring to Taoist arts that are attempting to develop the elixir of immortality. It could be referring to Buddhist arts that are attempting to get the body into a good enough shape to work on dhyana or Zen or Chan practice, which requires a body in very good condition. So if we're going to generalize, we could say that Reiki has the purpose, a primary purpose of self-healing and secondary purpose of healing others. And we could say that Qigong has no primary purpose because there's so many different arts within Qigong that you can't really say that any one of them is the primary purpose of all of them. Some of the uses for Qigong can include medical. It's the same as Reiki, for healing the physical body. It could include scholarly, meaning to improve the mind and the sharpness of your wit. And some of the uses of various Qigong can be martial, meaning to improve the explosive power of your fists to improve your body's defenses against being hit. Some of the uses for Qigong include to improve your vitality, meaning to give you so much energy that you can do whatever you want, whenever, for many, many, many hours every day. There's also what is considered the highest use of Qigong, which is spiritual expansion, spiritual nourishing the spirit, which could mean a whole bunch of different things in a whole bunch of different situations, and this is not really the video to go into that, but the main thing to point out here is that there's a bunch of uses for a bunch of different types of Qigong. So there's no primary use. It's important to note that Qigong is not a traditional term in Chinese for the energy arts. Usually, and this is, still just a generalization, but usually the older term used to describe what we now call Qigong would have been Neigong, which means internal art. But there's also, that doesn't account for the martial Qigong. It doesn't account for some of the other Qigong. So it's important to understand that Qigong is a modern term. It was invented to cover everything, basically. So don't get wrapped up in the terminology. An important distinction between almost all Qigong and almost all Reiki is that Reiki tends to work with the chakras, and Qigong tends to work with the meridian system. Now, this is not always true, but it's a very good generalization. Reiki can work with the meridian system, just like Qigong can work with the chakra system. It's just that, in general, they don't. And, there's various philosophies as to why you would want to work with the meridians versus the chakras, or vice versa, and that's an entire discussion unto itself as well. Another important distinction to make is that, in general, the effects of the two are on opposite ends of the spectrum. So when I say the spectrum, I mean physical versus spiritual side of a person. So the physical body is the most physical part of the person, whereas the spiritual body, which you could say doesn't exist or exists everywhere, depending on your point of view or philosophy or anything, really. So what each art affects is closer to one side than the other, and Reiki tends to fall on the spiritual side, which is ironic because it is aimed to heal the physical body, but it aims to do that by affecting the spiritual body first, which allows those effects to trickle down into the physical body. And it can be very effective. And Qigong affects the physical body in almost all cases more than it affects the spiritual body. There are some exceptions to that, but in general, it's going to affect the physical body a lot more than the spiritual. And ironically, the highest of Qigong is aimed towards spiritual growth and expansion. So you've got arts coming at this from opposite directions, and I think there is a place in the middle for both of them. Depending on your personal goals, you should use the correct tools. Like with everything else about Qigong, because it means so many different things, it can be a lot more varied than Reiki tends to be. However, because in general it works on the meridian system and not the chakra system, the meridian system is much, much more physical than the chakra system is. The chakra system is more like a blueprint hanging out there in the spiritual side of things that tells your body how to be built, basically. Whereas the meridian system directly controls the physical body. That's why there's a difference in the way they affect the body. You're aiming at completely different things. Now, because it tends to be more physical, Qigong can be more dangerous to an untrained practitioner. That's why it's very, very, very important that you learn from a qualified and competent instructor, preferably a master, and not just someone who attended a seminar once, you know. Qigong is going to have a stronger, faster effect on the body. That's really all there is to it. Assuming you're doing Qigong correctly. Because Reiki tends to be much more on the spiritual level, it can take a lot more practice in order to affect lasting changes on the physical body with Reiki. And again, it's very important to note that these are just generalizations. Your specific practice may be completely different from this. I don't know you. But these are generalizations, and in general, this is the case. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section down below. I will answer every question that I see, respond to every comment, and even give out free cookies down there. If you'd like to help us out, please leave a like, hit subscribe, ring that bell icon for notifications. In this video, we talked about the differences between Reiki and Chi Kung. And we talked about why this is just a generalization. In general, the difference is Reiki is about healing, Chi Kung is about all sorts of stuff. In general, Reiki is going to affect the spiritual side much more easily, and Chi Kung is going to affect the physical side much more easily. And in general, it is much better if you're going to learn from somebody who is not a master to be learning Reiki rather than Chi Kung. And if you'd like to learn more about Reiki and meditation in general, you can get our free Intro to Meditation course at heartlotus.guru/meditation intro. Thank you for watching.
Oh, there, wanderer. Stay thy course a moment to indulge an old man.